That's
beautifully.
harder, I think.
Christina
for you to say, well, here's my version of it.
Definitely more pressure.
Yeah.
But I also like to think about it because, I mean, Beetlejuice was only Tim's second movie, right? It must have been such a strange conversation to be, okay, so there's this Pee-wee's Big Adventures guy.
Totally.
When did you first start?
I dropped out of school to make some money so I could go back. And I started working at in this little public television station in Pittsburgh, doing anything I could, anywhere. At a public station, they'd shoot these little 16mm films, and I was on a crew, so I'd set up a couple lights and then need a guy to walk by and say something. I said, I'll do that. I started becoming more ambitious about it and actually putting myself out there. I wanted to act, but I loved stand-up so much, and the beauty of stand-up then and now is you're not waiting around to get hired. And I never did like jokes. I created scenes so I could play characters and things.
Did you bomb?
A few times, but oddly at the beginning I didn't. I mean, I kind of off the bat, I went boom, and I got asked back in New York, me and Larry David, and I just met him. Yeah, I met this guy standing next to me in freezing cold, waiting outside in line to sign up. He was in a fatigue jacket, an old like army jacket. That was his actual army jacket from the army, I think. And then, so like that, and then we did that, and I, on a whim, I moved to LA for the summer to get started. And then, I don't know what happened, I just started auditioning, I didn't know anybody.
I had no idea you did stand-up. Oh man, now I really feel like a journalist. Do you? Comedy, drama, is there anywhere your heart lies more, or is it really just dependent on the character or your
totally
experience?
Dependent on the thing.
Yeah, I thought
100%.
so.
That thing of, well, comedy is really, death is easy, comedy is hard. It's cliche, it's kind of true. If you want to be good at it, comedy's harder. But if you think of it like that all the time, I think it gets in your way. But if you want to be really good at it, it's about timing. It's about, does the timing work inside this vehicle? And is my style correct for the thing? Do you play small, do you play big, and all that? I don't know. I don't really analyze it very much.
Yeah, well, that's also why there's that conversation.
But you're very dry.
Yeah, it's hard though. I think because no one is aware of whether or not I'm being serious.
Yeah, which I love.
As much as it pains me to admit, you were right, Mother. I think I'm going to love it here.
You sometimes get the tiniest crack in the corner.
Yeah.
See.
That's me pretending that it's not happening.
Because you figure, well, if I give in to really like laughing, it's too vulnerable.
Oftentimes it's credit. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's like a swallowing of, I can't let them know.
Yeah. So what's that about?
I'm not entirely sure.
Were you like that when you were little?
No, when I was little, I was just very
silly
bubbly
and bubbly.
Yeah, always wanted to chat up the adults at the birthday party, and I was very.
At what point did that change?
16 or 17. It's only I've really gone inside myself in recent years. Maybe it's just like insecurity, or I think also being a young adult for the first time and feeling the weight of the world and responsibility. And my career is in a very different place than when I first started. I was like 9 or 10. So I think that kind of pressure, if you're not familiar with it, I had never really been affected by opinions or thoughts of others. And I think that, when you get older and, there's so many people on your team, you're having all these conversations, and so many people have an opinion on your life and what you should do with your life and what's right and what's wrong. And I think as a young person, and potentially because of the day and age that it is now with the internet, I think that sometimes that it just feels, the pressure feels more substantial. I'm also an immense overthinker, so I think that
you're gonna pass through it. You're gonna have to come out the other end of it. But I got a lot to say about that. So when you got the call, you already knew Beetlejuice and Batman. You said, oh yeah, I definitely want to meet that person.
Well, yeah, Tim.
Or did they just say,
hey, you know something? I just remembered yesterday as well. I remember auditioning for Dumbo. I actually auditioned for Dumbo.
Really?
Yeah. I was like 14 or something like that, and I was so excited. I couldn't believe that Tim was making a movie. It had been a minute. I was like, oh man, this would just be an incredible opportunity. I was very used to being told no, because they tell actors don't feel some type of way about that. But I remember Dumbo being one that for weeks I was just gutted, and I thought, what if I never get the opportunity to work with him again?
Wow. Did you tell
it's
him
been twice. No.
When you first worked with him, it was on the show.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. The first time that I worked with him, because TV moves so fast and you're trying to get so many pages, so many scenes in a day, maybe that kind of made him nervous. I don't think he had done TV before. And he was always very kind, very considerate, but I wasn't used to him being so trusting of the people that he hires.
Yeah, right.
So by the time we got to Beetlejuice, it was so refreshing because I understood that when he didn't give notes or when he didn't have much feedback on the acting portion, it was more so because he was allowing me to just do whatever I felt I needed to do.
Right.
And if he really had something to say, then he would say it.
Yeah.
I don't think we have a process. I'm not trying to be anything. It's just he's so unbelievably visual. Once you buy into that, you say, I really like this world. I like his way of thinking. Then you say, oh, okay, I want to fit into your world, so here's my contribution to it. Here's what I want to do.
I attended Juilliard. I'm a graduate of the Harvard Business School. I travel quite extensively. I lived through the Black Plague, and I had a pretty good time during that. I've seen The Exorcist about 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it.
I think the first day I showed up on Beetlejuice, I just started going. And then he said, oh, okay, let me now show you some of these sets, and here's what's going to happen in this set.
I gotta do a photo shoot for GQ in about an hour and a half. Yeah, they've been after me for months, doing some kind of underwear deal. I don't know what.
And there's discussion, but there's not that much discussion during the shoot, do you think?
No, not at all. I think that's what threw me off guard as well, because the first character I had with him, Wednesday Addams, obviously there's been so many interpretations already. She wasn't an original character, so I really wanted to talk to him about what that looked like in his world and his perspective, and he just didn't have much to say. He just kind of... So I think that stressed me out a little bit, but once I saw the sets and once I spoke to him a little, and obviously having so much of his film history to look back on, it changed my physicality immensely.
Really?
Yeah, the way that, depending on how tight we are, how far we are, it completely alters the way that I stand, the way that I carry myself. His visual direction, really.
Yeah, because you're really fitting into the picture.
Yeah.
Literally the picture.
Very still, no swinging of the arms, perfect posture, no blinking, it was a whole...
It's true, I didn't think about that. It's actually harder, isn't it, to play a character that's been done 2, 3, 4 times before?
I wouldn't say that it's harder, because I can't think of Beetlejuice. I can't compare anyone to Beetlejuice.
Right, that's why in a weird way it's kind of easier. I said, here's what I'm going to do. It's not like anything or anybody. It's just just what I'm doing. Oh, that's what you're doing? I love that.
Right.
Well, then if you're doing that, then let's do this. And I'd say, oh, cool. What if I go up into the tree and, the Wednesday character had been played in other media, right?
Yeah, and so
That's
beautifully.
Harder, I think.
Christina
for you to say, well, here's my version of it.
Definitely more pressure. Yeah. But I also like to think about it because, Beetlejuice was only Tim's second movie, right? It must have been such a strange conversation to be, okay, so there's this Pee-wee, Pee-wee's Big Adventures guy.
Totally. I'd seen Pee-wee's, but I don't think, honestly, to be honest with you, I don't think I ever saw it all the way through at that point. So I meet him, and you know how he speaks.
Yeah.
And he's way more verbal now than he was then. I didn't know what he was talking about. He was trying to explain it to him. It wasn't bad. It was actually interesting. A few days go by and I had another meeting. I just know this guy is something. And he had said a couple things that gave me an idea, like he's from any time period, or he's of no time. He disappears, he might live in the ground or something. I went, wow, live in the ground. We never rehearsed. I never showed him anything. He was very clear about the striped suit. He was very clear about the white and the big dark eyes. And I started meeting, I had called a makeup person, and I talked about my hair, and I wanted to do this and that. I said, I want it like that.
Electrified.
Yeah. But I didn't think of the color. He came up with the color, I guess, or she did. I forget. But anyway, the advantage was we didn't know what we were going to make. He knew. That was the other thing. It was so fun to make.
Right.
And I only worked like 15 days or something. You ready for this? There's going to be a screening of that movie you did with that guy, Tim. And I go, oh, yeah, okay. With an audience. They're going to screen it with an audience. And I went to see it. It was death. Crickets. People's faces are kind of going like this. And I thought, oh, man, that's too bad. That was really fun. And then I saw a trailer and I went, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. I hope the movie's that good. But it's fun to walk on a set, isn't it?
Yeah, it's unlike anything you've ever seen before. It was the first time I had ever done coverage and been told to put a slight bend in my left knee so that I was straight. It's oddly messy, which is so funny considering the the name and status and legacy that he holds. I don't know how similar the experience is to when you first shot with him versus now.
Very.
But it just feels very casual.
And it's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, so fun. I love that he doesn't have the shot list. He doesn't have any idea what he's gonna do that day.
But he
just does it. But for the most part, he likes to keep it short and quick.
Yep.
The first time I met with him, it was 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
We exchanged almost nothing. And there were some mornings on sets that I've worked with him where he doesn't even say much, he just shows me the image. We strangely have a very similar sense of humor. If I laugh, I know he would probably laugh, and vice versa. So we've done a thing now where we almost speak in our own little sign language. And
Yeah, especially when you're going every day.
You see it in Beetlejuice and you see it in Batman, and he's very graphic. What he actually needs, it's not like he has to overshoot or overcover something, because a lot of it is so focused on silhouette or a certain light, and if he likes one shot, he doesn't really want to deviate from it. Everything else is just kind of a waste.
What's the thing you said? I'm still open for interpretation. I realize that I, in fact, this person, am open for other people's interpretation of me. That's wild. It's a phase, I mean, it ain't gonna last.
Is it a phase?
100%.
When do you think you
Kinda up to you,
stopped feeling that way?
There were certain things that I was too stupid, I guess, to even think about.
You've got to just be like oblivious and confident enough to actually. Yeah. And you had that as a.
Alejandro Iñárritu said, I'm saying what he said. He's the most confident actor in the world I've known. And it didn't start out like that with he and I guess that's true. Well, to some degree, I know it's true, but part of it's because I'm not smart enough to worry. Somewhere along the line, made the decision, that's too much work. I'm too lazy to have to make myself too crazy. I just don't have the interest in all that. I gotta go make a living. I gotta figure out what the job is, Things are different. Also, I must say, you're a woman, judged way more. A young woman, judged even way more. And I forget about social media. That like quadruples everything. I'm saying this to you, you're going, Jesus Christ.
No, I've already had the same. My brain has gone through that. I think
it's true though.
I've looked at everything from every angle I possibly could.
But you don't seem like it. You seem cool as the other side of the pillow, as they say.
I wouldn't say that I am, but I would say in this year, strangely, I'm so fortunate and lucky to be doing what I do. I actually enjoy going to work every day. I figured it out when I was younger. I don't want to stop doing what I'm doing, so I'm going to keep doing it. And then the other things, it's like how much I enjoy being on set. It's a very small price to pay.
You got it. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to touch it because you already figured it out. That's exactly it.
Anytime I get stressed out doing this sort of thing, it's never brought me anything in the first place.
If you were to talk to one of your peers or someone your age, even if they're not in the business, would they be roughly in your, on average, if you picked a friend or someone, a contemporary, either in the business or not in the business, where do you think, if you had a conversation for an hour, would you guys kind of be, they think they'd feel the same way you do? Or do you think you're different?
Well, I wouldn't go, oh man, I'm different, or I'm whatever. But I do, and I don't know if it's because I'm so analytical about things that I think sometimes it's hard for me to touch base with people my age. And part of that might be too working in such an adult environment since I was 9, 10. Yeah. I'm probably most fearful around people my age because I don't know if I present myself a way that's,
more mature.
Yeah, I feel like unrelatable, or I feel like sometimes I have to speak differently or carry myself differently in order to assimilate myself. Because I do want to connect, and I do have some people that I have been able, but it's very few and far between. Honestly, a majority of my friends that are my age, I've known since I was 4. Yeah. I went to school with them, but again.
And you still hang with them when you can.
When I can, but it's less and less every year. Yeah. I haven't seen them in over a year or something like that, That happens anyway, regardless of what you do. Yeah, and a lot of it is like, you go to school with people, you spend all your time with that person. And
are they cool? Are they go?
I think they're cool. I think they're the sweetest.
Are they cool with you, like going, they dig what you're doing, they're happy? And
they're supportive, but only because they know it means something to me. Right. They don't really care. Yeah. Same thing with my family. Like, none of my siblings really
that's very healthy.
Care.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got lucky.
Like, they're respectful of it, but it's not like that.
Yeah.
That's the way my family is for the most part.
Right.
Yeah, not for the most part. It's exactly how they are.
It's so nice.
Because it's so nice. What a relief, right? Because can you imagine some of the crazy shit you hear from other families. People go nuts. People, all of a sudden, families like break apart because one person, my family was totally down.
I can't imagine that being any other way.
Yeah.
That's a huge, if I didn't have that, if it wasn't that solid of a foundation, I think I would really be screwed. Have you ever had to reel yourself back?
Daily. From what?
I'm not saying in like I'm feeling myself kind of way, but potentially.
Oh yeah,
you know, with something
like you start falling in love with yourself a little bit?
Yeah, you snap back to...
Yeah. Cusack said this thing, and I can never remember what it is. A kick in the head. Daily I see, especially some politicians, you just want to go, excuse me, just a little shot, just a boom, upside the head to kind of go, oh yeah, all right, sorry, you know.
Right.
Yeah, oh, for sure I did. For sure. I'd like to say, no, I was always down and cool and authentic. Nah, I'm sure there were periods where I was acting full of shit. But you're in a different time, a different world. I hate to keep saying it, but women, it's harder a lot of the times because more is expected, therefore, oh, she didn't look very pretty today, you know?
Yeah. Well, I feel it too. I mean, you could even do a scene with someone, a romantic scene, and suddenly you're being attacked for having to kiss a guy over, you know? It's a very different pressure, and it's obvious. It's so clear. And like I've
You make clear when you're at work, you feel it.
And more so like the press of it all.
Yeah,
when you're having to do inviting people to come watch it, you could feel it even from crowds occasionally, the kind of like tension or I don't know, it's very easy for things to become misconstrued
or blown out of proportion.
Yeah, or they love you and then they hate you and then they love you again. That's why you can't really, well, if I follow that, I'm gonna have a heart attack. I think there's no normal way to go about it nowadays, and as someone who was also a people pleaser, I was so confused as to why.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
A young man in those early, like late teens to early 20s, that's a tricky time, man. That's a tricky time to be a guy because you have an unusual occupation. You don't have a normal occupation.
I have this theory because I want to go back to what you just said. You said, about that time in your life being a very stressful time. I find that people, as someone who's in their 20s, often look back at their 20s and go, oh, you need to enjoy it. It's the best. Oh, I had so much fun in my 20s. That's, when life really is. Is that people romanticizing it? Because it's terrifying, is it not?
That's a very good question because mostly I think they are romanticizing it because that's an easy thing to say. And just because you're not, if there are some that are or were, that doesn't mean it has to be that way for you.
Right.
Your 30s or 40s or 50s or 70s might be the greatest, or maybe your teens were. Some of the stuff I look back and I go, oh boy, they were bad. Any year I thought of, oh, that was a rough year, that was terrible. But man, I was really sad during that time. Yeah, but you know what? There was something in there that was pretty good. You know what I mean? When I look back, but it's you can't see it now. Don't expect yourself to see it now. You can't jump out of yourself and go, got it. That's a really difficult thing to do. That's an astute question. What if the answer is, no, those 4 years or 2 years or 6 months or whatever, that they were pretty miserable. They probably were. So the world's not gonna end. So that was bad, and then they'll get good.
And it gets worse, and then...
It goes fast. Faux show.